happens if I disagree with the 504 meeting or the IEP meeting? Well, this is a great way to look at resolving that. An Office of Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Education complaint. And so the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights, I believe is one of the most underused options for resolving disputes. The great thing about that is that you're not dealing with your state anymore. You're dealing with the federal government. You'll be assigned an attorney when you submit the application, the complaint. Let's talk about what that looks like. So if we haven't met, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, Special Education Boss, helping families navigate and negotiate the 504 IEP process. So the Office of Civil Rights investigates those violations, those alleged violations that are found that they have jurisdiction over under the 504 section of the Federal Code, Civil Rights. Some of those cases that I have filed on and won are race, retaliation, discrimination, disability. And so let's talk about what that looks like in a complaint. They're very unique features that are different under those that are specifically just to IDEA. An OCR complaint, Office of Civil Rights complaint, will only look at the components of your IEP document that are related to 504. So you have to file very specifically. So they don't want to hear about eligibility. They don't want to hear about goals. They want to hear about things that denied them access. Civil rights are about your access to gain a free, appropriate public education. So here's one of the first unique components of it. The filing must occur within 180 days of the alleged discrimination that you were discriminated against. Unless a complaint is granted a waiver under CPM section 107, and that, and in my experience, that doesn't happen very often. So this is something you have to file on and act on quickly, and it has to be a very sufficient complaint. The process is simple. You go to the Office of Civil Rights, U.S. Department website, and you literally file there. You can file on behalf of yourself and your child. I file on behalf of my clients. It's really important to know that we stick to the components of the document, because when you are assigned somebody from the OCR, and you'll be assigned when you file the complaint, they are attorneys. They just want the facts, just the facts. Okay. So the OCR will receive your complaint. Depending on how busy they are, sometimes it's very fast, and sometimes I've waited 6 months to have an investigator contact myself and the parent. So you just get in line, but it's one of the most underused processes, and it's great, especially if you feel like you are in a district or in a state that's not very special ed 504 friendly. So allegations can be dismissed in the complaint. So once an allegation has been received, they will contact you, walk through what you alleged again. So you're alleging that the committee had predetermination in deciding your child's placement. Yes, and they might ask you, so they're clarifying what you filed, and they might ask for more specific information around that allegation. Any components of the allegation can be dismissed during it. If they're not dismissed, they will say that they have found a reason to open up an investigation. Opening up the investigation does not mean that they agree with you or that they agree with the school district. It just means that they did not have enough information to dismiss it. So it's really important that your allegation is specific, because that attorney that's assigned to you from the Office of Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Education, is going to then take the exact complaint and address it with the school district's attorney. So remember, they weren't in the meeting. They don't know you. They're probably not going to ever meet you. These are all done by phone calls. So you have to put your best foot forward. You have to be on your best behavior. And remember, this is business. This is not personal. It's the business of getting resolution for your child. They're limited investigation of matters which are part of administrative review. If you have opened a state complaint of any kind, a due process, a state written complaint, a mediation, the first question they're going to ask you is, do you have another investigation open somewhere else? And if you do, they will not look at your case. So you have to choose from all the dispute resolution options that we talked about, which one will get you the most traction and the furthest resolution for your kiddo. There are rapid decisions and sometimes there are long decisions. Sometimes you go back and forth and back and forth. If they find that there are areas of the complaint that need to be addressed by the parties, they will recommend facilitated resolution between the parties. So like anybody else, they want you to work it out. And so they're very good at having both parties come together in a process to look at resolving the issues, and that ultimately usually turns out to be a settlement of some kind. So if they negotiate a resolution agreement, an issue of letter of finding, the letter of finding includes, as appropriate, statement of the allegations in the case, statement of the OCR, Office of Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Education, jurisdiction authority, including recipient status and statutory basis for investigation, a statement of the findings in fact for each allegation supported by any necessary explanation and or analysis of the evidence on which the findings are based, conclusions for each allegation that reference the relevant facts, the applicable regulations, and the appropriate legal standards. And last but not least, a statement that the complainant may have a right to file a private suit in federal court, whether or not the OCR finds a violation. Monitoring. This is part of the component that I really like. OCR will acknowledge the receipt of interim and final monitoring reports, and they do monitor the cases. You may address new complaint issues for the first time during the monitoring process if the components of the agreement have not been delivered. Enforcement actions. The OCR has great reach in enforcing actions. They can initiate administrative proceedings to suspend, terminate, or refuse to grant or continue or defer financial assistance to those entities. There's lots of cases about it. You can appeal the findings. I've had decisions, what for me, it was blatantly obvious that there was a violation, and that investigator didn't find substantive, was not enough to open an investigation or to find that the school district should work with the parent to resolve the issue. But again, like any other legal proceeding, you have the option to appeal that decision. So again, go on the Office of Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Education. They will tell you what components that they oversee and what they don't. It's very specific, but when used correctly, it's an unbelievable process. And it's really given a lot of my families meaningful benefit and relief where they were not able to access one before. So I'm Mayer Cunningham, Special Education Boss, helping families navigate and negotiate the IEP process. Like the channel, hit the bell, so when we go live, we have a video, share the video. If there's something you want us to train on, let us know. We'll see you in the next video.